Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Life on Turkey Lane. It's about supper time, and tonight I'm going to be cooking one of our family favorites. As I've mentioned before, or as you've seen before, we do quite a few kind of lower carb meals. One reason is because like my daughter, she kind of gets like, they kind of call it like wheat belly or a gluten intolerance type of thing, and her belly area kind of swells up if she eats pasta. And then also my husband, he had stomach surgery several years back, and he has trouble digesting noodles and things like that. So we do quite a few lower carb meals, which is good for us anyway, and we're getting more vegetables in our diet. So tonight I am going to be making spaghetti squash Alfredo boats. And so let me point you down here. Now, I know a lot of people have not even had spaghetti squash, and I can tell you, we love it in our family. I started doing this, I guess, about 5 or 6 years ago. And at first I thought, I don't know if I'm going to like something like that, because I had never really had it. I never had it growing up or anything like that, and but we do love it, and so I want to share this recipe with you, and I hope that you'll enjoy it, and I hope that you'll try it yourself. So let me aim you down here, and let me show you what we're going to do. So now spaghetti squash is like a winter squash. And so, but they store real well. I got these from the grocery store at Aldi, however you want to say it, a couple weeks ago. But anyway, the last couple ones that we got, they were fairly large, and they kind of had a bitter flavor. So I would say when you pick some out, get some about small to medium size, not real small, but about a medium size one. And I think they should be real good. So what I usually do is start by cutting my spaghetti squash in half. And these are very hard. So it does take some work to get them cut in half. So I'm kind of just going to go down in there with my knife once I get like a score line. Once you get a good score line, they kind of cut better. So I just want to make sure my halves are kind of even, because actually with this recipe, it saves on cleanup, because these are actually going to be what the shell is going to be what our food is served in. So we really like them like that. It's kind of fun, and like I said, it's less cleanup. Now it does, like I said, it takes a little bit to get these things cut open. So there we go, that one's open. Now once you get them cut open, you're going to just scrape the seeds out. Just like any squash, they do have some seeds in there, but they come out pretty easy. And I just take a spoon that has kind of like a sharp edge on it, one of my good tablespoons. Does the trick. And these look like they're going to be nice and sweet and not bitter. The ones that were bitter, the seeds, the insides in them have gotten kind of stringier looking. I don't know how to describe them, but and you can put that in your compost pile or throw it away. But anyway, we love this meal. It's delicious. Now, it's the way I make it, especially with the Alfredo. Now, there's more than one way to make. I've done spaghetti squash boats with kind of like the Mexican style filling, and those were really good, and I might do those sometime for you too. And I've also done it with more of a marinara or Italian style type of filling in them. I'm just going to set these aside real quick and cut this other one in half. Now, if you have a lot of trouble cutting these in half, or you're scared to use a knife with something this hard or whatever, you can pop these in the microwave for a few minutes to kind of soften them up some, and it'll be a lot easier to do that. But anyway, once you get a certain ways around them, they should just pop right open. So, there we go. I'm just going to de-seed this one. But anyway, we love the spaghetti squash. Now, it just like with zoodles, you know, zucchini noodles, it doesn't taste like pasta, but it's a good replacement for pasta. And if you've never used spaghetti squash before, I'll show you what it looks like once it's cooked. And it actually looks like noodles. It's really cool. I mean, I guess it's kind of like God's noodles. I mean, he gave us noodles without having to have the wheat and the starch and the flour. So now you can tell this one's got bigger seeds and it's a little more stringy, but it's still not like the big ones that I bought. The seeds almost turned into like, it's almost like they were sprouted, like if they were starting to grow or something in there. So anyway, these are relatively easy to clean. It's almost like cleaning a pumpkin, only easier. It's not quite as difficult as a pumpkin. And you could, if you wanted to, I mean, if you were making enough of these for a large group or something, you could roast these seeds off. They would be just like pumpkin seeds or pepitas. Or you could very well, now with store-bought ones I wouldn't do it because squash has a tendency to cross-pollinate. But if you had grown your own, you could save the seeds out of it and just dry them out and plant them the next season and grow your own spaghetti squash. Like I said, you can put this in a compost bin, or you can feed it if you've got chickens. You can feed it to your chickens. They would love it. Now, if you do put it in a compost bin, you're liable to have, with the seeds, you're liable to have them germinate in there, and you might be growing some type of squash in your compost bin, which, no big deal. But, okay, I'm going to wash my hands real quick. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. And so with the spaghetti squash, you bake it off like with the boats that I'm going to do. You know, these can be boiled, like if you, like say, if you want to do it like you would a pumpkin. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil. I don't have any olive oil. I didn't buy any at the store yesterday, but I just got a little bit of vegetable oil, and I'm just going to coat the inside of my squash with a little bit of that oil. just around the rim so it doesn't stick. Now I've got a baking sheet here with parchment paper in it. I'm just going to coat that. I don't know if you can see me over here. Just coating that with a little oil. So when they bake, they don't stick to my pan or my parchment paper. And then I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of sea salt. Now this is a step you don't really have to do, but I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of sea salt on the inside of them there. And then you flip them upside down on your pan like that. And you're going to bake them off in a 350-degree oven for some this size. It'll be about 30 minutes. And you'll bake them until, if you stick a fork in this side, it's fork tender. Okay guys, while the spaghetti squash is baking in the oven, I'm going to start on the filling that we're going to use with it. And so this is, like I said, it's going to be a chicken Alfredo. And so we're going to get started on some of that. And let me point you down here so you can see what I'm doing. I love this stuff. It isn't low fat, I can tell you that. Although I have been trying to cook more low fat, but this just happens to not be a low fat one. But I'm going to go ahead and let me get my burner turned on here. About a medium high. And I'm going to cook a couple of these chicken breast patties up. These are boneless, skinless chicken breast, and they're only about a ½ inch thick. I don't know if you can see that, but these are really good. I like using them. I think 2½ might be good enough, but I'll go ahead and cook 3 up. Get that out of the way. And I'm going to stick these tongs in the sink here. Well, actually, I'll just stick them on the counter because we're going to be flipping things. And I'm going to season them with a little bit of garlic powder. And a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm about out of salt in my little shaker here. Let me get some of this. So I'm just going to season them with a little bit of garlic powder and salt and pepper. And use my pepper shaker here. And we'll get those cooked off. And then we'll go from there. So it won't take these because, like I said, they're thinner than most of your boneless, skinless chicken breasts that you get. And so it doesn't take very long, just a couple minutes on each side, and these will be pretty much done. I'm going to get some broccoli out real quick because I think we'll have a little bit of broccoli again. If I have any. Yeah, Now, a flat top stove is not my husband's preferred stove, but I kind of like mine because it leaves it where I do have a little extra counter space. I'm just going to chop up a little bit of broccoli, and I'm going to chop them in fairly small pieces. So for one, they'll cook fast, and for two, when I go to put stuffing in our little boats, it's not so big that it won't fit in there. A lot of times I'll make this with some like button mushrooms or baby bella mushrooms. I don't have any mushrooms today, but I think with just the broccoli, it'll be great. More like your traditional chicken Alfredo. Because normal chicken Alfredo don't have really mushrooms in it, but I just like mushrooms, so I add them to a lot of my meals. A little bit more here. These little smaller pieces won't take as long to cook too, so that makes it nice. Should put just a little bit of oil in there, I think. The non-stick pans really aren't very non-stick anymore. It's hard pressed to find one that's good. Go ahead and season this side. Burn it down just a bit. Make sure that chicken's good, nice and done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my broccoli in this measuring cup here with just a little bit of water. Don't want that getting under the burner there. And then you just need a very little bit of water, like not even a fourth cup. Just a little bit of water here, and I'm going to stick it in the microwave for a minute. Good brown bits on the bottom of this pan here. Those are going to be good. It's going to make our sauce taste good. see if that's fork tender. Yes, it should be pretty good. Maybe a little bit more. Those are done, and I'm just going to lay them here on my board to cool down just a little bit. Scrape a little bit of that off the pan. Okay, now to get started on the sauce, I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter to my pan here. Let it melt. Take that pan some. Once that butter's melted, I'm going to go ahead and put a tablespoon of flour in the pan. And I will put this recipe in the description. It's real easy to make. Doesn't really take much time at all. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle my tablespoon of flour in there. And we're just going to whisk that together. Make like a little roux, and we're going to let that cook for just a second or two. Where'd my whisk go? There it is. Okay, now that's looking really good. And now I'm going to put in a 1/3 cup of my cream. Now this is the cream that I skimmed off the top of some fresh cow's milk that we got. Now I'm going to turn the burner down pretty low because we don't want that to make sure I get all that in there. Now I'm going to add in about 1/2 of a block of this cream cheese, and this is the lower fat cream cheese. So you can definitely use, like if you want to go lower fat, you can use skim milk and lower fat cream cheese. We're going to be using Parmesan cheese. You could do the skim Parmesan if you want to do that. Make this a lot healthier. A lot of times I do that, but since I had the heavy cream this time, I wanted to go ahead and use some of that up. So anyway, I'm just going to chunk in 1/2 a block of this cream cheese here. Start letting that melt. Kind of break it up with a fork a little bit. And now I'm going to sprinkle, normally I would put fresh garlic, but I'm just going to sprinkle some garlic powder. Probably at least a teaspoon or so. You want a generous portion of that. Turn my burner back down a little bit now since that's melted. And now I am going to add in some fresh basil, or not fresh basil, but dried basil. I've got my own here that when you're using stuff that you dried out of your own garden, you might need to use a little bit more than the recipe calls for. It calls for a teaspoon of dried basil and a teaspoon of dried oregano. Now I have dehydrated my own, and I use my own, which is good stuff. But you can use the stuff that you get from the grocery store. It's fine, just fine. So I'm going to stir that in there. And I am going to add just a little bit more milk because I'm going to be adding my Parmesan cheese. And we want this to be more of a looser consistency. Sorry to do this with you. I don't usually play the chase game where I'm adding more liquid to things like that, but this is just to show you that if your sauce is too thick, you can add a little bit more milk while you're cooking, and it turns out just fine. Okay, now I'm going to add 3/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, and got probably a 1/4 cup in this bag here. So I'm just going to sprinkle that in. And then I'll add about a 1/2 cup from this bag. And just because I like the flavor of it, I'm going to add some of this. It's called Complete Seasoning. It's from Badia. I got this at Dollar Tree, but I'm pretty sure you could probably find it at just about any grocery store because Badia is a name brand or whatever. It's a good brand. So now you can see that this is the right consistency. It's cheesy and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner off, and I'm going to take it off the burner. So it doesn't cook anymore, and I'm going to add my broccoli into it, and I'm just going to go ahead and add it with a little bit of water there too. Okay, and now I'm going to chop up my chicken. I don't have a whole lot of counter space. That's kind of why I like this stove top. Now my chicken is still warm, but it's warm enough, it's cool enough that I can touch it with my hands now, which is what I want. I'm just going to cut my chicken up in chunks. Now the inside of it's still hot. So what are you guys having for supper? Or do you make something similar? Or do you love chicken Alfredo or not a big fan? Is there something in particular you would like to see me make with spaghetti squash? Or leave me a comment and let me know how things are at your house. Or I would really appreciate that. Also, I would certainly appreciate if you liked this video and gave it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe to my channel, if you haven't already done that, I would really appreciate that. I'm probably not the most entertaining person to watch. I know that there are several out there who are real fun, and I will tell you a few that I watch and I just love them. These ladies are fantastic people. They're just really good cooks. They have fantastic personalities, and I love to watch them, and I've subscribed to their channels. Of course, they don't know me and have not subscribed to my channel. But anyway, one of them is called The Farming Pastor's Wife. I'm telling you, Leslie on there, Leslie and Bryant, they are a hoot. Just good folks. Bryant is the pastor of a church. They're not my religion, but they are awesome people. She's a fantastic cook and just very entertaining to watch. So I would encourage you to go over to her channel and watch her videos. I know that you'll enjoy them. And then another one is Tammy at Callard Valley Cooks. She's also a Southern lady, and she's an excellent cook. I think she was on a TV show one time, or like a kind of like a cooking, not really a cooking show, but it was more of a game called I think it was Family Food Fight. And so she knows how to cook really well, and she's a hoot too. I enjoy watching her. Of course, she's got a lot fancier kitchen than I do, and cooks, I'm sure, way better than I do. But anyway, I would encourage you to watch them. And then if you're into homesteading, I have several channels that I watch of those. Get a fork here because I'm going to test these spaghetti squash. Anyway, if you're into homesteading, I watch shows called Living Traditions Homestead. Oh yes, those are nice. Well, that one was tender. That one's tender. That one's not. So I'm going to turn it over. Maybe my oven's got a hot spot. I'm going to turn these around and let those cook a little longer. But anyway, Living Traditions Homestead, they're actually based out of Missouri, not too far away from where I live, about an hour away from where I live. And they are great people. They do real well with their homestead and their gardening and stuff. And then I also watch Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. They are also from Missouri. And they actually live off grid. They have no electricity, and they do. They don't have running water. They have a well, and I don't think they have a well. They have a well, but they pump it. They pump their water from outside, and then they also have a rain catchment system that they use. So anyway, they're fun to watch. I'm going to get some of this cleaned up a little bit here. And I'm going to clean up a little bit of this mess, and I will be right back. Okay guys, so I've gotten the spaghetti squash out of the oven. They are fork tender. And so now let me show you what we're going to do to turn them into boats. There's my husband.
Hi, I caught another YouTube video.
Yeah, I caught it. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and use a towel because these are hot still. I'm going to flip these over. And now I left my oven on. I didn't turn it off. I'm going to flip these over. And since I oiled them real good, they shouldn't be stuck to my pan or my paper or anything like that. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my fork and I'm going to start shredding. Can you see what I'm doing here? Let me get just a little bit closer on you. There we go. And I'm just going to take my fork and go along the sides, all inside of these squash. And if you can see, they turn stringy like noodles. And so it's almost like eating an angel hair pasta is what they're like. And they are super good. I'm just going to go through each one of them, and I'm going to get as much of those noodles in the center of these as I can. Like I said, my husband cannot eat pasta hardly at all. If he eats pasta, sometimes he can keep it down, and sometimes it just upsets his stomach because he's, since he had stomach surgery, he just don't digest it very well. But he can eat one of the, actually these are kind of small compared to what we normally have, but they're the right size for dinner. We normally eat ones just a little bit bigger than this, not much bigger. But he could eat a whole one of these, or a half actually, just one half. And it doesn't make him sick. He can keep it down, and he really likes it. It's a great alternative, like I said, for pasta, or if like if you're gluten intolerant nowadays or whatever. I know there's a lot of people who can't handle gluten. This is a very good alternative to pasta. So once I get these all scooped in the middle, I'll show you what we're going to do with our sauce. These are so good, I'm telling you guys. You will not miss noodles, period. You just won't. Try not to burn myself with this pan, but I'm going to get over here and get this scooped out. Like I said, have you ever tried spaghetti squash, or have you thought about trying it and never would? Does it make you kind of squeamish and you're thinking, oh, there ain't no way I'm eating that stuff? Let me know. Send me a note. Send me a comment. Or if you have a fantastic recipe that uses spaghetti squash, send it to me, because I would enjoy hearing about it so that I can make some more dinners that my family enjoys out of it. Okay, now I'm going to get my pan over here that has the sauce in it, and we're going to stuff these things. I'm going to show you how we do that. And now, like I said, I normally make this in a little bit bigger things. So I might have a little bit of sauce left over, but that's okay, because you can eat it. You can use it with other stuff, or eat it on top of rice the next day or something. But anyway, I just put a little bit of the filling in the top of these, and then I'm going to stir them around just a little bit to incorporate it all with the noodles. Might try to get it all in there. Anyway, I'm just going to take my fork and I'm going to stir this around. And I'm using this towel, like I said, because these are hot. You really should probably let them cool down just a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to stir those up in there. Get all that sauce, that good sauce, mixed in with the noodles. Just a little bit more. I mean, don't they look good already? And we're not finished yet. Oop, making a mess there. Put some more sauce in here. Okay. Got two just about ready. Now let me get these stirred up. Telling you, this is some good sauce. I've already tasted it just to make sure that it had enough salt and stuff in it. It's good. Good, good. Just a little bit more of that in there. I've used just about all the sauce, so we won't have any left over, I don't think. I'm going to go ahead and use it. There's just a scraping in here. I think I'll fill that one up more. Okay, so I've got my little boats filled, and like I said, this kind of saves on dishes, even though you're going to have to use a plate. At least the plate's not going to get super messy. And I have a little bit of provolone that I shredded, and I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit on top of there. Not much, because it's already got Parmesan in the pot in the sauce. I don't want it over cheesy. Our dog Sissy probably thinks she's going to get some of this, and she's not. Her's not going to get none. Okay, and now let me get my seasoned breadcrumbs. I've got some Italian breadcrumbs here, and I'm just going to do a little sprinkling over the top just for a little crispy crunch. Okay, now I'm going to stick these back in the oven until the cheese melts, and I'll be back. Okay guys, so I've got them out of the oven. Now the last few minutes I put my oven on broil, so the top might get a little bit of brown. I could have let them go a little bit longer, but I didn't. When you put your oven on broil, be sure that you watch it, because things can get really brown and burnt really fast. So anyway, I took them out probably a little bit sooner than I should have, but I think they're ready. And now let me get one served up here. Guys, does that look fantastic or what? I'm telling you, these are good. If you have never had spaghetti squash, or if you've never had anything like this, do make it, because you will not regret it. And I'm going to grab me a fork. I'm probably going to burn the living daylights out of my mouth. But I'm going to take a taste test for you. Let me aim you up here. And turn that down just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take my taste test, and I'm just going to dig a little scoop out of here. Try to get me some of the noodles. A little piece of broccoli there, a little bit of noodles there, a little bit of chicken. Oh, the little bit of crunch from the breadcrumbs is so good. Oh my gosh, guys. This is so delicious. It's creamy, it's cheesy. The noodles themselves, unlike pasta noodles, they're very light, and they're very healthy, very good for you. they're just delicious. And so I hope that you'll try this recipe. I'm going to take another bite. Oh, that's good, guys. Try this recipe. I'll link it in the description below. And as always, I'm glad you joined me at Life on Turkey Lane. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Try this recipe. You got to try this recipe, guys. I know that you will not be disappointed. And like I said, as always, I hope that you're very blessed tonight. I pray that the Lord shines upon you and that you have a very wonderful evening. Bye.